Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucia and this is Lulu's Leaves.
I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. And I feel misunderstood, 'cause I'm trying hard to love.
In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about some houseplants that I regret selling. I would say for the most part, I don't regret selling most of my houseplants, but there are definitely times where maybe I fall out of love with a plant temporarily that I do end up selling these plants and wish that I didn't. So today's video is going to be all about that. But before I do get into the content of the video, if you guys are not already subscribed, definitely click that button down below, give this video a thumbs up, and also if you'd like to be entered into the giveaway to win a $20 Amazon gift card, don't forget to also leave a comment down below. If you're interested in joining as a member as well, that gives you access to a Discord group chat, and also if you want to join at the top 2 tiers, you gain access to some extra content, but the link for that is down below in the description, or if you see the join button, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, but that will get you all set up. I do also have a really special announcement. I am going to be attending the Niagara Botanical Convention. The convention is being held at Rice Road Greenhouses, and it's gonna be really, really fun. There are a ton of cool vendors coming. There are plant vendors, there's raffles, there's also plant accessory vendors. So if you want to check that out, it is happening this Saturday on July 24th, and it's running from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you're interested in coming and checking that out, definitely do so. I will be there and I will be filming. So if you want to be a part of one of my videos, you can actually just show up and I will get you in there. So if you guys are interested in more information, I will leave everything down below in the description so that you can, find the address and everything like that. But it is going to be a really good time, so come check it out if you are interested. Well guys, that is going to be it before we get into today's video. I really hope you guys do enjoy it. The first plant that I definitely regret selling is one that I didn't sell the entire plant of, but I sold multiple cuttings of. And this is pretty typical from this video. There are a few plants that I still own, but ones that I took a lot of cuttings from and they ended up, really suffering because of it. So the first plant is my Philodendron gloriosum. When I first bought the gloriosum, it had, I think, 5 or 6 really beautiful leaves, and it continued to grow and grow. So I cut it a few times, and I really do feel that because I cut it, I set it back a lot. With most plants, you are going to get a little bit of a setback in terms of growth when you propagate that plant. But it took about 2 to 3 months for this plant to push out any sort of growth. And once it did, it was pretty deformed. So it definitely did set back the beautiful giant leaves that I did originally have on it. But fortunately, now we are getting some of those really nice, beautiful, perfect leaves again. So I can't be too upset, but I do somewhat regret trading some of those cuttings. It's hard to say though, because I did get some really amazing plants from those cuttings, or at least partial trades. I mean, I got my El Choco Red from a cutting, and I think there are a few others that I sold so that I could have money for new plants. So it wasn't a complete loss, but if I was able to keep all of the plants that I traded the gloriosum for, I would say that I wouldn't want to cut it because it definitely did set it back. But yeah, that's all for the gloriosum. It probably was the right call, but it definitely hurt my heart a little bit. And still to this day, I'm sure the plant would be a lot happier and larger had I not cut it back. Next up on this list is actually one that you guys might be really surprised about. And this is a plant that I probably wouldn't buy today, which is actually kind of funny. I don't want to go out and buy just any version of this plant. I really did like my specific plant. And the plant that I am talking about is my Alocasia silver dragon. I got an Alocasia silver dragon, I think it was a year and a half ago now. It was, again, one of my first rare plants, and it was a really beautiful plant. It had those larger, more mature leaves, and they were super contrasty. I don't know if this is a plant that is typically grown in tissue culture, but if there is a tissue culture version and a not tissue culture version, I definitely had the not tissue cultured version. So it was a little bit more mature at a smaller size and looked really beautiful. I did end up falling out of love with alocasias, and I, have kind of stuck to that since. I'm not a huge fan. They just require a lot more care than I can give them at this point in, my life, but they are still really beautiful. And, maybe if I come across one that looks just like my old one did, I might get it, but it's gonna have to be pretty special to, top the one that I did have. I'm really hoping that I can find some video footage for you guys, even if it's a little bit old, because, it would be awesome to show you guys the individual plants that I'm actually talking about. But yeah, it is kind of funny because this is a plant that I probably wouldn't get again, but I still somehow regret selling it. I sold it to someone in Nova Scotia, so, at least I was giving one to someone who was not likely able to find one in their own province. So it did feel good doing that at least, but yeah, that was actually my first time I ever shipped out a plant, which is kind of funny to think about now. And I think they arrived really great. So that was definitely a good experience, even though I was giving up a plant that now I kind of wish I had back. Next up, I want to talk about a Hoya that I actually sold off. And the Hoya that I'm talking about is the Hoya parviflora splash. Parviflora? Parviflora. Yeah, this is one that, I had kind of a funky looking plant. The leaves were kind of all over the place, but I have since seen some really beautiful Hoya parviflora splashes, and they are actually pretty uncommon to come by. So because of that, I kind of wish that I had held on to that plant. I just don't know when I'm gonna be able to find one again. I know that they're not, ridiculously impossible to find, but I think I paid maybe $15 for it. So it was definitely a steal when I did get it. And I imagine if I wanted another one, it would probably be closer to $60 just because houseplant prices are, way up. So yeah, definitely regret that a little bit. That kind of, goes for a lot of the plants that I'm talking about. When I got them, they were a lot less expensive than they are now. And that is just bound to happen. You win some, you lose some. There are plants that I bought a year ago that, are way cheaper now. And there are other plants that I bought that are way more expensive. So it's definitely give and take, but the parviflora splash is one that I do somewhat regret selling. Next up on this list is similar to the first plant, and it is the Philodendron glorious. So not gloriosum, but glorious. This is another plant that I actually didn't sell completely. I just sold cuttings of it, and I actually sold a really large cutting of it, and then the bottom of the plant started to decline quite a bit. Luckily, I now have a one-leafer that's looking really pretty, but for a while it was really stagnant and it was putting out pretty rough looking growth. And that wasn't my intention. The reason that I cut the beautiful plant that I did have is because there was a great trade involved, and one of the leaves was also pretty damaged. So I thought, okay, this is my time to kind of remake my plant. I'm going to give it, a little haircut, and it's gonna grow back perfectly. And that just didn't happen. So it was a little bit unfortunate that I did cut it up and trade it, especially because the plant that I ended up trading it for was the regale that ended up getting cold damage. But that plant is fine now, so it's okay. But the whole situation felt a little bit sad. And I probably wouldn't have done that trade had I gone back in time, but it is what it is, and my glorious is looking really good now, so I'm hoping that it continues to grow really nicely as we move forward. The next plant that I regret selling or trading in this case, in a lot of these cases actually, is my Philodendron rugosum. This is a really, really unique plant. This is one that has a leathery texture to it, And you know what, I actually think that I like the version that I didn't have a little bit more than the one that I did have. Yeah. What? I don't know if that made any sense, but there are two versions of this plant. There is one that has more heart-shaped leaves, which is the one that I had, and then there's one that has like ripples between where the sinus typically is. So I think if I were to get this plant again, I would get the one that has the more rippled, you know, leaf shape. It is really, really cool, but I did actually trade that plant along with a few others for my beautiful Veitchii here. So again, this one was definitely worth it, but I didn't end up keeping any pieces of it for myself. So that guy's completely gone. And if I want another one, I am going to have to buy another one or trade for another one. And I don't really have a lot to trade this year. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just a little bit too attached to them to cut them, or you know, they're smaller and I've already cut them and they haven't really grown back enough from last year. But I'm pretty content with my plant collection right now, and I'm just gonna wait and see if anything jumps out at me that I want. But right now I'm not really wanting for too much. To wrap it up though, that rugosum was a favorite plant of mine, but the Veitchii is definitely a new favorite plant of mine. So it was worth it, but in the end, I wish I did have it back. So the last plant that I want to talk about is one that you guys might not really expect, and it is the Anthurium clarinervium. I know these guys are kind of a dime a dozen these days, but I do think they are really beautiful anthuriums and they're really easy to care for. So that is why it's kind of making this list. I did trade it for an Anthurium warwickwianum, just a little baby, and that guy's doing pretty well, so I can't complain too much. But I think I thought I would like the Anthurium warwickwianum more than I did, and I might when it gets a little bit bigger, but right now it's definitely not my favorite plant. So if I could, you know, take that back. I mean, I don't know if I would take it back because I made the person that I traded with pretty happy, and you know, they were looking for that plant. It is one that I probably would pick up again in the future if I found one for a good price. I really do like these small clarinerviums that are just little bushels. I think that they look really, really cute. So that's probably what I'm gonna look for if I do end up wanting another clarinervium, but it's not on the top of my list right now. So we'll just have to wait and see with that one. It's not top of mind. Well guys, that is it for today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy it. I also want to mention I totally just brushed over the fact that I skipped a few days of filming, and I'm sorry about that. I just need a little bit of a break. It is going to be a slower week still. I think I might post one more video before next Monday if I have some time, but yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and if you want to enter the giveaway to win a $20 Amazon gift card, don't forget to also leave a comment. You guys can let me know in the comments down below which plant you regret selling or trading off. I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, if you would like to join as a member to join our awesome Discord group chat and also maybe gain access to some extra content, don't forget to click that join button down below or in the description. I will also leave all of that information for the convention that I will be at in the description, so go check that out if you are in the Ontario area and feel like taking a little day trip. But yeah, guys, that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!